This is Urban Knife Guy, where we discuss knives for city dwellers. Today we're going to have a look at the Spyderco Para 3 and see if it makes a good urban EDC knife. Now, Spyderco is a well-known US-based knife maker, and they've got a very distinctive look for their knives, as you'll see as I draw open the box. Now, what makes Spyderco's knives just so unique and very distinctive is the shape of the blade and this oversized thumb hole inside. This is a leaf-shaped blade and very distinctive and iconic with Spyderco. Now, I know obviously the blade design and the hole is patented. I'm not sure about just the hole itself. I do know there are some arrangements with other knife makers like Benchmade where they can put oversized holes in their knives, but you do see such a feature in other knives, so I'm not sure if you can patent a hole. After all, a hole is nothing. Did the guy who invented the donut patent his hole, and that's why there are no other holes in food? Oh, maybe. But this is the Para 3. Now, the Para 3 is the latest generation of the really popular paramilitary family of folding knives. The first generation was introduced in 2004, and its inspiration was the iconic military model. So the Para 1, I guess how we refer to it, very strong, great knife, and it featured the patented compression lock, and this is really unique to Spyderco, and I think this is a great lock. I think it's my favorite lock actually on locking knives. It's like a reverse liner lock. Normally you have a liner lock at the bottom over here where the lock get pushed into the liners, but this is on the back, which to me makes perfect sense, right? Just from a functionality point of view, you use the knife, you now just regrip and you can unlock the knife. And the great thing is, from a safety point of view, your fingers are nowhere near the closing of the blade, whereas in a traditional liner lock you would have to press the liner in, and your thumb is actually in the way of the blade. So this is really good for non-knife people or people who are terrified of knives in general. You can just push that and close it up. So I really like this compression lock. So in 2010, the Paramilitary 2 was introduced, also known as the PM2, and this is a very popular knife. It's a huge knife, bigger than this. It's got an improved lock detent, refined ergonomics, countersunk handle, so the liners are in the scales, and this 4-position deep, well, it's not a deep carry, but a pocket clip. So you can see, you can actually reposition this clip even on this Para 3 in 4 different positions. So it's ambidextrous, left to right, and you can carry it tip up or tip down. So this is the Para 2, which is a bigger knife, but because it was big, it basically looked like a murder-death weapon. So by popular demand, they came up with this more compact version, the Para 3, which is a mini murder-death weapon, I guess. Now, it is named Para 3, not really Paramilitary 3, because it is kind of a different knife. Comes from the same family and heritage, but it's got its own identity. But definitely you can see the similarities. So before we go into the specs of the Para 3, let's do some size comparisons. This is the Victorinox Trail Master. Kershaw, also sweet. And let's bring in the Benchmade Foray and an Altoids tin. Let's talk about the specs for the Para 3. The blade length is 3 inches long with a cutting edge of 2.63 inches. The handle is 4.27 inches, and this gives us an overall length of 7.27 inches. So the blade itself, this steel is premium steel. This is great steel. It's CPM S45VN. So this is a stainless steel that is a high alloy stainless steel with outstanding edge retention, increased corrosion resistance, and is fairly tough. So these properties really make S45VN an outstanding blade steel for high-end folding knives. And the S45VN is a step forward from S35VN in corrosion resistance and edge retention, but it's not as tough as S35VN. But overall, still considered a premium super steel. So the blade thickness on this is 0.15 inches, which is 3.8 millimeters. The blade itself is kind of a modified clip point, but also known as leaf shape. It is the iconic leaf shape Spyderco blade shape. It's a full flat grind and a satin finish and a plain edge. There's a bit of jimping here at the bottom, I guess for you, almost like a finger choil for you to do hard work, and correspondingly on top there's jimping here as well. So if you really want to get in there to do harder work, you have got a good grip. And speaking of grip, you do have G10 scales over here with countersunk liners inside. So this gives it a really solid feel, but because of the open back design, also very clean look there. But you can get a glimpse of the countersunk liners as you see that glimmer inside and through, but very easy to clean as well. We have the compression lock, which we talked about earlier, which just allows you to close and open it and lock in place very easily. We talked about the clip as well, four-way position, making this ambidextrous and able to be carried tip up or tip down, so very convenient for you. Now, you can get this knife in many different colored scales, even type of scales as well. Now, there is the Para 3 lightweight model, and I chose not to go with that. So that's FRN scales, makes this much lighter because the weight of this particular knife, I believe, is 3.4 ounces, and the lightweight version is almost 1 ounce lighter. But personally, I like heft in my knives, and especially a knife like that. With really lightweight blades, I do foresee that it's going to be blade heavy or front heavy, so the balance is not going to be there. And personally, I do like heft for my blades, and 3+ ounces. It's not something that I consider heavy. So in terms of ergonomics, Spyderco in general always has great ergos. This is no different, no hot spots, just due to the contours here. And of course, if you want to use the finger choil here, all really good. You can use this in a lot of urban EDC tasks easily, and with this sort of steel, and of course sharp out of the box, you're going to have no problem doing most of your tasks. Let's talk about the price for the Para 3. For this knife in this version, the MSRP is $231 US, but you can get it about $161 US. The lightweight version is actually $50 cheaper, and it's lighter, so some people might actually think that's a much better buy. But as mentioned, I like a heavier knife, so I was willing to pay more for this particular one. Now, you can actually interchange the scales with custom scales or scales that even Spyderco offers. There's a huge aftermarket for this because this is such a popular blade. So you can just, remove the Torx screws and change the scales to your preference. Now, how would you carry this particular knife? Because of its shape, even though it's really thin, just due to this oversized hold and the leaf-shaped blade, it is quite large. So it would never fit my typical EDC holder. As you can see, there's just no space. Even with the Arcco Rambler holder, this big pocket which is meant for knives, that won't fit in as well. So you need a larger holder. But the good thing about this knife is, due to the weight and due to the slim profile, you could slip this in your pocket and it'll be perfectly fine. And of course, you could carry it in a pouch or sling bag, or just slot it in a compartment of a messenger bag. The golden question is this a good urban EDC knife? Well, I think there are two factors that you have to consider. One is your profession and what you do, and second, what you normally carry. Now, in my profession currently, I do not need such a heavy duty knife. This knife I know would get through almost any task that I require, but is it a bit too much? And in terms of an urban setting, because there are social settings to be considered, if I bring this out in public, I'm very sure a lot of people will think this is a murder-death weapon. Even though it's only a 3-inch blade, because of the shape and the height, it looks pretty aggressive and people might be intimidated by such a knife. And if you ever happen to be stopped by law enforcement who may not be familiar with the Spyderco knives, this might look a bit fierce for utility use. Second, what I carry. This might be a bit much, even though I do really like the knife. It's a slim profile, it's a great high performance knife. But if I bring around, things like this, besides just a knife, a pen, a flashlight, my phone, my money clamp, that's quite a bit much, and this might be a bit of an overkill. So I'm not sure if I would use this as an everyday carry. Now, if I'm going hiking or I'm going camping, this is definitely in my top two EDC type of carry, right? No question about that, because I'll probably need to use it for heavy usage, and this is a knife I really trust, and this size in an outdoor environment will not really scare people, even if they're other hikers or they're other campers. But let me know what you think. Do you carry this Para 3 as your urban EDC? If you do, let me know why. If you don't, let me know why as well. If you have any questions or you've got something to add to this video, please leave a comment below as well. So subscribe to this channel, like this video, and as always, keep it folded, keep it safe.